Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 546 for the 23rd of August. A lot of weird stuff happened over the past 24 hours. I'm so glad that I didn't miss this SITREP. If I missed this, I have no idea how to do the tomorrow's SITREP. So there's a few big major things I want to just to highlight. There's a plane crash that allegedly carries Prigozhin, and there's also a naval strike on Russian SAM side by the Ukrainian forces, and this at Crimea, and there is also a alleged helicopter that defected to Ukraine earlier, around a few days ago. So and then there's also battlefield reports that there is significant changes. So I will go through the battlefield ones first before we go to the non-battlefield related stuff. So let's start off with the biggest news happens over at the Zaporizhia front. Basically, this is the Zaporizhia front, and over at the Orikhiv sector, the major news is the Ukrainian OSINTs, the open source intelligence, have declared that ROBOTYNE has been captured by the Ukrainian forces. The 47th Brigade allegedly have raised a flag. Basically, this flag is can be seen from a drone footage that went viral. This flag is actually located in the southern side of ROBOTYNE over at this position, geolocated by Surya Maps, and this actually on this L-shaped building. So I also kind of geolocated this myself, and so basically it's over here, which actually does shows that the Ukrainians did manage to at least enter over to the southern side of ROBOTYNE. However, the drone footage did not have any humans in it. Like basically, it's just a flag on the building, and there's literally no Ukrainian soldiers being seen. There's no Russian soldiers being seen. Not a single living thing. You can not like no humans. Not a single humans can be seen in the video footage, which shows that it's probably mostly still a gray zone. However, according to Ukrainian mapping, they already put it as they have captured ROBOTYNE. However, not all pro-Ukrainian sources are so bullish. Myroshnikov, another pro-Ukrainian source, basically highlighted, reminding his followers that the village is not officially proclaimed as liberated. So he said, please do not do not harm their Ukrainian soldiers. And I find this very refreshing, to put it that way, because he is very like super pro-Ukraine, because he's Ukrainian. But this is some really strong realism there that I think is worth applauding for. And if you look at the pro-Russian information, is very weird. It's like a parallel universe. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, Ryba, they did not at all mention about Ukrainians planting the flag or capturing the town. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the fighting is still near ROBOTYNE. And according to Ryba, in the latest summary of the actions from yesterday, they mentioned that heavy fighting with Ukrainian forces continues at ROBOTYNE. So that is very interesting, because their claim is that fighting is still within ROBOTYNE, and that they are not corroborating this information about the capture of ROBOTYNE by the Ukrainian forces. So we will have to continue to monitor and see, but we will have to take into consideration that it could be a possibility that the pro-Russian side are just simply slow in terms of acknowledgement of the loss of a very strategically important town along the first line of defense on the Russian side. And according to Deep State UA, they say that the Ukrainian forces are already moving towards Prokopivka, which is the Novoprokopivka, correct? It's the same name, yeah. And the fighting is also reported towards Verbove. This is a continuation of the fighting previously has been reported. The last report of a Ukrainian attack towards Verbove was on the 20th. So the Ukrainian forces are still continuing their attack, while the Russians claim that this area here is still still very contested, with the Russian forces continue to be fighting the Ukrainians within ROBOTYNE itself. So that is the situation at the Orikhiv sector. There is let me see, this 23rd. There is also a Ukrainian defense ministry report about Russians attacking in the area of Mala Tomashka. You have to see that this is Mala Tomashka, and the Russians attacking in the near this area does seems to be probably around this area here. But the Ukrainian defense ministry also tends to claim their own offensive, their own fighting as the Russians attacking. So maybe it might be a Ukrainian attacking, maybe to build on the success over at Robotyne. That could be a possibility. Over at the nearby, at the Kayamsky sector, there is geolocation of Russian forces over at this position by Dnipro-Osin, which is a pro-Ukrainian source, and the geolocation of Russian forces over here does prove that the front line pretty much is accurate, that the Ukrainians still have not managed to kind of break through from Petikaki. They are still kind of stuck at this village over here. And that's all from the Kayamsky sector. There's nothing over at Hoyapole sector. Over at the Velika Novosilka sector, the Ukrainian forces continue their fighting over at Uruzhaine. Reports from Ryba and Dnipro-Osin both reported that the 37th Marine Brigade is still trying to attack in the Uruzhaine region. The aim is actually to bypass Zavini Bazania and move towards Starolinivka. Then there is a geolocation by Dnipro-Osin as well of Russian forces over at this position, which actually kind of strengthen our mapping, our confidence in our mapping that this is indeed the situation, the front line that we are looking at, with the Russian forces holding this entire forest line around here, and the Ukrainian forces still have not broke through around the area of Uruzhaine. As I mentioned before, the Ukrainian forces will have to capture at least this entire area in order to secure Uruzhaine. Otherwise, Uruzhaine, despite the capture, is still going to be under severe threat. There is some fighting reported near Rivnopil. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. They mentioned that they have taken out some Ukrainian recon forces near Rivnopil. So probably there are some recon forces to probe the river area where the Russians are holding their line, and they got taken out by the Russian forces. So that's all from the Velika Novosilka sector. And then we go backwards to the southern front. Over at the southern front, we have a continuation of yesterday's amphibious operation along the Dnipro River. Reported by Ryba, they say that the Ukrainian forces continue to try to land over at the Bilogrudov and the Mikils Island. Basically, is this island and this island. The Ukrainian forces continue to try to land forces or try to do something over there. So basically, they got engaged by Russian artillery, and that's basically the end of the story. We do not have much information about that. Else, what is exactly the objective of the Ukrainians to do all these things? Why they continue to sacrifice precious troops and vessels to land forces over on these islands. And over within the Black Sea, yesterday I mentioned about the Russian Air Force strafing Ukrainian vessels, speedboats, in the Black Sea area, near Snake Island as well, just off Crimea, around the Oirik region. So apparently these vessels did manage to succeed in their operation. They managed to fire off some kind of missile, which it is actually thought to be likely to be Brimstone 2. I think this is the United Kingdom missile. From their speedboat, and managed to hit one of these SAM sites. The Ukrainians say that it's a S-400. The Russians say that it's a S-300. Regardless, this is a tremendously shocking incident for the Ukrainians to actually to fire upon Russian positions, SAM positions around here. And this is actually, I would say, one of the first naval strike by the Ukrainian forces on Russian ground troops. And this is interesting. And according to Ryba, the attack does not involve only the speedboats, but there are also UAVs, the flying drones involved. The drones were taken out. They got took down by I think air defense. Let me see. The air part. Let me see, where is it? Okay. I think I didn't copy it in. But the drones are shot down by air defenses. However, there's this missile strike that was launched at the S-300 that was from the sea, and this managed to hit. So the Ukrainians also did have drones flying around to take the footage of this explosion. So there is a lot of problems even for the Russians to try to deal with drones, because drones can still continue to fly around here taking a footage of this explosion, and the Russians cannot do anything about it. So so this is still, you know, modern warfare. We are breaking new grounds in modern warfare, and everybody is still trying to cope with the changing ways and tactics as well as technology in the battlefields. Moving into the Donetsk front, at the Donetsk front, we have fighting reported over at Marinka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, as well as at Novomihailivka. This is a continuation, the usual, like, you know, eating lunch and dinner and breakfast, you know, like brushing your teeth in the morning. Unless you're very dirty, you don't brush your teeth, you know. Then yeah, it's okay, you know, it's perfectly fine, no problem. No, I do not judge. So basically, the Russians continue to be attacking in this area here, and also there's interesting development over at the Krasnohorivka region. There is a geolocation of a tank attack near Krasnohorivka, and this geolocation apparently is near this I think this is a mine. This is a mine region, and the fact that the geolocation is around here means the Russian forces actually have lost this position. Either they are still hiding within the position, or they might have withdrawn due to the Ukrainian attack. It is not known when this video footage has been taken. It's a drone footage. So as a result, that I cannot really put it as fighting, but we do can do this overlapping, this gray zone thing over at this area here to confirm that the Russians have lost the position. That's all from the Donetsk front. Moving into the Avdiivka front, the Avdiivka front in the northern part of Donetsk city, there is fighting reported at Nevelsky, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is a continuation of, you can see, probing attacks, I would say 16, 19, 21, 23. So it's not a consistent attack. It's just basically every 3 days the Ukrainians will just go out and probe and keep the Russians, you know, awake. So basically, I don't think this is a major offensive of any kind. It's just some kind of probing by the Ukrainians. And there is fighting reported at Avdiivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and we will continue to claim that it's in the south due to previous reports. This time around, this is pretty more sustained. The fighting reported at Avdiivka has been continuously being reported since the 21st all the way to the yesterday. So we shall continue to monitor what is going to happen around this area. Most likely it's nothing much, because Avdiivka continue to be a very, very stagnant front line. That's all from the Avdiivka front. That's over at the New York front. This is the New York front. There's nothing over here, but just off the New York front into the Bakhmut front. So this is the Bakhmut front, and this is Bakhmut city. At the Bakhmut front, in the most southern end of the Bakhmut front, there is fighting reported at Mayos. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Ukrainian forces attacked Mayos, and that's probably it. We do not know more about this. Further up north, we have fighting reported at Kurdyomivka. This is also reported by the Russian Defense Ministry in the same report. And further up north, at Andriivka, Deep State UA continue to report that there is extremely heavy fighting, according to the way how they phrase it. However, this extremely heavy fighting is entirely not reported by the Russian side, which is kind of unusual. Maybe it's something to do with Prigozhin. Everyone is distracted in Russia. Over at Klishchiivka, again, there is still continued fighting, as the Ukrainians claim that they are within Klishchiivka, and Deep State UA says that the fighting is heavy. Ryba reported that the Ukrainian attack is repelled, at Klishchiivka. And Dnipro OC, another pro-Ukrainian source, reported that the Ukrainian forces are advancing in Klishchiivka and the surrounding area, while the Russians did try to counterattack, but in vain. So fighting is still ongoing in Klishchiivka. We do not know what is the situation in clear, but this is how it goes. Over in the northern flank of Bakhmut front, this is Bakhmut city, as you can see. The Ukrainian forces seemingly attacked near to Yakhidne. This is reported by Ryba. They say that Ukrainians' attack was repulsed near Yakhidne. This is Yakhidne, and probably this is along the defense line. The Russians has re-established the defense line around this area here. And interestingly is that the Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, in their mapping has cleared up the mapping over at this region here in the Berkivka region. This is Berkivka, and that their mapping shows that the Ukrainians only have confirmed secure positions around this area here, and they have considered that the Russians actually have strong positions around this area here. So basically the Russians have largely re-secured most of this territory that was protecting Berkivka and Yakhidne. So that's all we have from the northern side of the Bakhmut front. We move into the Sivas front. This is Sivas, and this is Sivas front. At the Sivas front, there is fighting being reported at Vasily. This is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. They say that the Russians conducted offensive operation in the area over here. This is Vasily. And basically that's about it. I don't think this is a major offensive. I think if it is, we will probably see more excitement on the Russian side. So moving into Crimea front. So this is Crimea front. At the Crimea front, we have fighting reported within the Serebransky forestry. This includes reports from today. The Central Group of Forces also reported in their morning report that the Ukrainians are still attacking within the Serebransky forestry, as well as at Torsky over here. So the Ukrainian force, this basically is a duplicate of the reports. They reported both areas at the same time, with the Ukrainian forces continue their attack in this manner. So yeah, we shall continue to see what's the Ukrainians' plans in this area here as they continue to push. This pushing has been for a long time already. And now over at this Dibrova, there is fighting. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that the Central Group of Forces, units, aviation, artillery, and heavy flamethrower system attacked the Ukrainian 21st Mechanized and the 5th National Guard near Dibrova, as well as at Yampolivka. Yampolivka is further up. It's over here, Yampolivka. So while the Ukrainians are attacking, the Russians are also attacking in this area here. So that is a trading of blows. So hope they enjoy the blowing. Over at Sviatove, this is Sviatove. At the Sviatove front, there is fighting being reported over at Novoyehorivka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, they say that they repelled Ukrainian attack over at Novoyehorivka. This fighting is being corroborated by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, which, like I said, I really like when they corroborate each other's information. But the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said that it is the Russians that is attacking. So interesting that the fighting is over at Novoyehorivka as the fighting slowly flare up again over at this area here. Further up in the northern part of the Sviatove front, we have Ukrainian attacking Novoselivsky again. This is a continuation since the 19th of August. The Ukrainians continuously trying to retake Novoselivsky, and so far no success just yet. And that's all from the Sviatove front. Moving into the Kupiansk front. This is Kupiansk. At the Kupiansk front, we have the Russian Kupiansk offensive continuing over in the area of Vyshana and Sinkivka. Fighting is being reported by Deep State UA at Sinkivka, and the Russian Defense Ministry's Zapad Group of Forces reported that their Zapad Group of Forces continue their offensive near Oshana or Vyshana. Deep State UA's report is more like a troll. Basically, they say that the Russians are failing at Sinkivka despite the constantly trying to say that Sinkivka is captured, or the Ukrainians are withdrawing, which actually we reported based on the information that was given so far, it looks like all this information about Ukrainian withdrawal at Sinkivka, all the Russians entering Sinkivka might all be wrong. Because given the fact that until today, the Russians still have not captured Sinkivka, shows that the Russians, all these rumors about the Russians entering the village, Ukrainians withdrawing are all false information. This actually caused me to downgrade Remelin, which is why you never see his information. So until further notice, we will continue to monitor. I will take Remelin's information with massive pinch of salt and or soya sauce. The Ukrainian forces did continue their counter-attack to push back the Russians over at Sinkivka, according to the Zapad group of forces. This attack also includes Petropavlivka region as well as Vershana region. So this is a massive Ukrainian counter-offensive trying to retake, to push the Russians backwards against this offensive actions. So that's all over at the Kupiansk front. Pretty much the same thing. Pretty impressed by the Ukrainians able to hold back the Russian offensive, given the fact that there's actually no other Russian offensive ongoing anywhere. This is the only one. So yeah, so that's all from the Kupiansk front. We have alleged defection of a Russian Mi-8 helicopter. So according to United 24 media, pro-Ukrainian media, they reported that the SBU managed to lure a Mi-8 helicopter with its pilot to defect to Ukraine. They say that they allegedly report that this intel operation lasted more than 6 months, and then this helicopter pilot basically flew all the way to Ukraine with 2 crews that have no idea what was happening, and then the crew was flying between air bases transporting parts, and so they claim that the pilot and his family now is in Ukraine, with no mention about the crews. However, in pro-Russian media, or rather pro-Russian sources, they are more skeptical about what exactly happened. According to this very long article by Swordkey, I believe the full name is Novorossiya something. So it's a very long pro-Russian name. So this pro-Russian Telegram channel reported that the pilot has actually disappeared for a few weeks, allegedly landed in the airfield in Poltava. However, this Poltava is not the city of Poltava. It's actually Poltava, the tiny village of Poltava, near the front line actually, in the Kharkiv region. Maybe it might not be this Poltava, might even be another Poltava, because who knows, Ukraine have a lot of duplicated names. So basically, they say that according to one version of the story, the 2 other crew members do not know about the plans, and then they got shot when they landed. So and in another version, they actually fight the Ukrainians and they died. Then there's another version, the commander, basically the pilot of the Mi-8, the transport helicopter, actually got lost and landed in Ukraine, and then more than 100 kilometers away from the border. Let me see, is it 100 kilometers? That is kind of far. Yeah, depending on where they start to measure. Which let me measure again. They say it's from here. Yeah, it is 100 kilometers. Yeah, it's possible. So yeah, which is a bit hard to imagine. 100 kilometers, how do you get lost in this way? Just look at the compass. So anyway, just flying off, you'll never be wrong, correct? So I don't really buy this story that much about getting lost. And they say that the lack of navigation on board is extremely unlikely coincidence. So yeah, so they also not too sure about it. Pro-Ukrainian media reported about this 6-month plan, and then the crew members' family is actually in Ukraine. They do it confirm. So this media, this channel actually confirmed that the helicopter is the same helicopter. However, they say that these photos are unusual, as they did try to avoid any bullet holes from being shown. Why, I'm not sure how they know it. And yeah, so basically however, this media, this particular Telegram channel actually contacted the family of the crew, family and friends of the crew, and they have been in direct contact with them. And he said that all of them are still in Russia. So this actually puts into a lot of question. Which part of the story is it real? Because could it be the pilot just run away to Ukraine on their own? But why the hell would you want to go to Ukraine? And how would the family even enter Ukraine? From Russia to go to Ukraine is nearly impossible. You can't even get through the custom. So there is a lot of the part of these stories, be it which version it is, all sounds weird. And basically, there's another Telegram channel called a male helicopter pilot channel. I think he's pro-Russian as well. So basically, so what they know is that on the 9th of August, they cannot, they are unable to detect, get in communication with the crew. They try to search and they cannot find. And then after that, there was information of a helicopter landing near Voschansk, which is actually in the border region near Kharkiv. Then, according to this information, they believe that this is getting lost and loss of orientation. But then after that, they turn out to be not true. Of the two crew, one of the crew died, and the reasons are unknown. They also not sure what happened. And then a few days later, another information shows that it was in Potova. Then also in another location called Revolutionary. I think it's a translated name. So not sure how you get there as well. And then a separate helicopter landed in Poltava on the 19th of August. So basically, he's trying to say that things are just very weird, and the official organizations from Russia do not actually reveal information, and this actually creates a lot of problems for them to even verify any information. So yeah, like I said, weird. This is a very weird SITREP. And over at and then of course we have this plane that is carrying Prigozhin. So according to information, Embraer Legacy 600 business jet crashed over in the Tver region, just north of Moscow region, and basically allegedly in the list of passengers and crew members, Prigozhin is on it. The senior commander of the Wagner group, the Dmitry Utskin, is there. Then there's another Wagner commander, Valery Chekolov, is also there, call sign Rover, who is responsible for the logistics of Wagner Group. However, this is just the list. The bodies are recovered, but they are not sure, they cannot be identified yet because the body was badly damaged. They are sent to the morgue in Tver, and they are still being examined. Most likely they say that they will need DNA examination, and official private military Wagner channels ask the media and friendly channels to them not to publish and verify data and reports about the leaders of the Wagner group, because these are all unverified information. But it's important to note, while they deny that this might be them, they also did not say that these are not them. You understand what I mean? So they have not acknowledged the death, but they also have not denied that these might actually be the real Wagner leaders. So and I did see a video shared by a pro-Ukrainian Twitter channel of some Wagner troops declaring that they're going to take some actions, but I cannot verify that information as I'm about to do this recording already. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and then we shall see what the Wagner group is going to do. So so this is the summary for the day of 546 for the 23rd of August. So I want to just do some conclusion about that entire weird happenings around Ukraine. So first I'll start off with, again, back to Prigozhin. Prigozhin was last seen in the video. He was in Africa, and this is the reason why at the beginning, when I first heard of all this information, I did not haven't dig into the sources. My original first reaction is that it's unlikely to be true, because he was in Africa. But then we have this name list, we have all the list of the list leaders, and it's being published on official Russian media, big Russian medias. So this actually put in things into a very not here not there situation. Russia is a very weird place, and it's very hard to predict what Russia does, because there is a lot of unusual divisions and things happening in Russia. For example, in Wagner's mutiny, they basically largely drive towards Moscow uncontested, except for some helicopter strikes, some airstrikes on the convoy, which they also shot down the helicopter. There's largely no fighting. That is weird on its own. And then we have, then when they gave up, Prigozhin and the leaders even met Putin himself, and they were given an opportunity to go to Belarus. And then we see Prigozhin flying all the way to Africa, and yet he now died in Sver. The basically it's like, you know, telling someone to write a story, and then the story does not leak very well. So there is all sort of discussion or opinions about how these are all fake. Like the mutiny is all planned just to to create this sense of deniability. So when Prigozhin appeared at the African summit with Russia, that is a surprising thing. He appeared in Africa, that is even more surprising to me. And then he suddenly died in Russia, that just doesn't link. The whole story just weird. Could this be fake, and could this be just yet another attempt to create more deniability that all these top leaders are now dead officially? But of course, the death is still not official just yet. There's no official information about their death, but could it be used to create a deniability, so that they can then operate freely in Africa as shadows or ghosts, or a totally different identity? We have no idea. The same thing, just yesterday I reported about Surovikin getting suspended from the special military operation, and he will be moved into or transferred to a different department. And I hypothesize that he might actually be transferred to command some forces over in the African region, because that only makes sense. Or some of the comments you all wrote that maybe he will be transferred back to Syria, because Syria is starting to get hotter again. That could also be possible, because Surovikin used to manage the mission over in Syria. So but then when this happened, then that put into question, would Surovikin actually be permanently taken out of service? Because if this death is real, then Putin's backlash against all these betrayers, which Putin did mention before, he don't like betrayers, could actually be deadly. And I have no idea what is exactly happening. So I do urge everyone to just wait for more confirmed information. For example, confirmation of the death of Prigozhin, confirmation of the identity of the people who died. And of course, we will definitely look out for information about Surovikin, whether he will be redeployed to anywhere, or would there be even any news about him. So all this is very hard to predict, because Russia so far, from my monitoring and reporting of the Ukraine war so far for this entire year and a half, I find Russia extremely hard to predict. They seem to be very conservative a lot of the time. Then suddenly they will do something very drastic that you never expect them to do. And then when you expect them to do something very drastic, they will do nothing, even at the expense of losing face, losing prestige. So no, Russia is weird. But I also want to highlight, I did mention during my reports about this mutiny, I mentioned that if the mutiny is real, I say that Prigozhin have overstepped the line. He has overplayed his cards. And if this death is accurate, and that this is indeed an assassination attempt by the Russian state against these betrayers, these people who have broke the trust of the state, then I will be correct that he indeed have overdid, overplayed his cards, and now he's dead. So that could also be very likely. As I mentioned, Russia is a very, very powerful country. It's a huge country with massive bureaucracy, and the last thing you need or you want in a very massive country with huge bureaucracy is dissenters and or people who do not follow the game rules. Because if you break the system, the entire country can collapse. And Prigozhin being a very blunt person, a bit like me, like to find trouble. Yeah, that basically might be the death of him. So this is a extremely shocking news, and but honestly, him dying is not something that shocks me. Him dying near Moscow is what shocks me, because I thought he was in Africa. So anyway, that's what it is. And now another issue I think is big is this naval strike on the Russian SAM site over in Crimea. So there is these are established SAM sites that you can see. These are all military bases in this area here. You can see all these are military bases, and basically there's a lot of SAM sites and missile sites over in this area here around Olenivka. And for the Ukrainians to send speedboats, wrong color, speedboats, and fire at Russian targets from the sea changes the game. If you ask me, this is a game changer. The more game changer than HIMARS, to be honest. No, this is game changing, because this creates a new security challenge for the Russian forces, and the Black Sea Fleet will have to make tough decisions on how to defend this coastline. And would the Air Force be the one to do it? Would it be the army with drones, or will it be the Black Sea Fleet's duty? These are going to be very hard decisions for the for the Russian forces, because any Russian vessels moving in this area might put themselves into danger of Ukrainian naval strikes, missile strikes. And the Ukrainians have I believe a few of these surface-to-surface missiles that have pretty good range, which is why the Black Sea Fleet have largely stayed away from the Ukrainian coastline. And so far, it looks like some of these some of these oil rig over here has already been taken over by Ukrainian forces. And one of these video footage actually shows that the Ukrainian forces are actually moving around. They're sailing around the oil rig, even fire a surface-to-air missile from a manpad against some aerial targets. So we are not sure exactly what is the situation like over just off Crimea. But like I mentioned before, the speedboats does change things, and if the Ukrainians are able to secure the waters around here, then they will open themselves opportunity to do amphibious operations, to force Russian Navy to enter this area here, and then they can actually fire at this Black Sea Fleet. It's gonna be a it's a gambit. Basically, it's like chess. It's like a queen's gambit. Although I'm not very clear about what is a queen's gambit, but no, it's a queen's gambit. So basically, yeah, it's pretty tricky situation for the Russian side. Other things like all these continuous amphibious operation around Kherson region, nothing really much to talk about. Then we goes to Robotyne. The Ukrainian forces have already claimed, actually only on the pro-Ukrainian side, the official Ukrainian Defense Ministry have not claimed the capture of Robotyne. Deep State UA and Dnipro OSIN, both pro-Ukrainian sources, have declared Robotyne as captured. However, Miroshnikov don't. Miroshnikov said exactly what I said, that it is not officially proclaimed as captured, and he thinks that by celebrating the capture of Robotyne actually harms the soldiers. I believe it's psychologically harmed. They will have psychological damage or emotional damage, because if you're on you're the ground troops, and you're actually in Robotyne and you're still struggling to survive, and fight for your life. And then but you see your handphone and everybody is celebrating about you capturing Robotyne, but yeah, you still have not. It might have morale problems, which is why, you know, Myroshnikov make a good claim. And most significantly is that the Russian side have totally ignored this entire incident. They have not acknowledged at all. Reports from the Russian side still continue to claim the fighting is at Robotyne. I'm not sure if they are just coping, or that this is actually the reality. We will know in the next few days whether the Russians will start to concede, and we have more evidence of the Ukrainian forces in Robotyne itself. But important to note is that the flag is in the southern side along this L building, this L-shaped building, and this does show that the fighting was in the southern side of Robotyne, with the Ukrainians able to come to this area to plant the flag. But most likely they will actually withdraw back to more secured lines after planting the flag, and because the Russian forces are definitely still very nearby, and all this area here can be, you know, under fire control. So yeah, that's the situation at Robotyne. Uruzaine wise is looking like a stalemate. It looks like the Russians indeed still have this position around here, especially with this geolocation by Dnipro-Osin, and even Dnipro-Osin only shows the Ukrainian have positions up to this area here, Dnipro-Osin. So definitely the Ukrainians are still fighting just off Uruzaine, but no doubt they have most of the control of Uruzaine. And other important situation, I would say, let me see, nothing. Donetsk region is the similar things. Adivka region is similar things. Nothing much to talk about. Fighting at Mi-8 is interesting. We will continue to monitor this. However, over at Klishchiivka, I think Klishchiivka is getting a bit critical. As the Ukrainian forces continue to be attacking within Klishchiivka as well as Andriivka, they're putting a lot of pressure on the Russian side. We will continue to see how this goes. The battle of Klishchiivka has been ongoing for a very, very long time, to and fro. The front line keep moving up and down. We shall continue to see how this goes. Interesting information, I would say, over at the northern part of the Bakhmut front would be the Ukrainians are moving back their front line, showing that the Russians indeed have secured the front line around Yakhine and Berkiivka. So this is Berkiivka over here. So they indeed have secured this front line around here. So, you know, so that's why you see he's very happy. So and then this year. The otherwise Crimea front, the usual, the Ukrainians are still on their Crimea offensive. The Russians are still on their Kupiansk offensive. Sinkivka is still not captured. This is definitely still not captured. And then interesting, I would say, is the fighting starting again over at Novoyehorivka. So suddenly both sides, both defense ministries, Russia and Ukraine, both claim fighting at Novoyehorivka on the 23rd of August. We shall continue to see whether this will end up to be some massive battle. As for this defection, my gut feeling, so this defection, too many information, be it a more pro-Ukrainian view or be it a more pro-Russian view, both have a lot of weird stuff. If it's really a defect, it don't make sense that the families are able to reach Ukraine. I don't think they are able to reach Ukraine. If the families will leave Russia, or clearly the Russian Defense Ministry have would know that these are the family of the pilot, they will be suspicious. This pilot will not be able to fly. And also there's no way for Russians to actually reach Ukraine. There is no easy way, and Russian passport would not be able to enter Ukraine. So I'm not sure how would the family ever reach Ukraine at all. And the claim was that the Ukrainians even landed in the Russian pilot even landed in Ukraine with spare parts for this Sukhoi 27 and Sukhoi 30, which I don't think the Ukrainians operate Sukhoi 30. Do they? I cannot remember. So basically, I'm not sure. The claims that he got lost also feels a bit weird. Why would he get lost? after flying for so long in this area here, you probably can know, for pilots, they are probably very used to this geography around the area here. And to fly all the way to Potova, that's a bit far, to be honest, to fly in the wrong direction and not get shot down by surface to air missile. So that on both ways, they are weird they are weird part. So we will not be able to tell what is the truth. The only reality we know is that this helicopter indeed have landed in the Kharkiv region in Ukraine, and there are seemingly signs of fighting, which is probably the two crews that was being mentioned. There are blood being shown on one of the photos, so that's probably what it is. And otherwise, we have no idea what exactly is the situation. And yeah, so that sums up the conclusion. A pretty long one because it's a very weird day. So thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and do let me know what you think. What is your conspiracy theory about Prigozhin, about this defection, the naval strike? Oh my god, and of course, Robotyne. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.